All right, well, welcome, Lords. It's been a slightly longer than expected between these things, but we've been deep. All the core Lords have been deep building a lot of things, as you can probably see in the GitHub channel, and I've been making a lot of appearances on Twitter Spaces and whatnot. So yeah, it's been a crazy few months, um, and we've never stopped. So there's a lot to cover today. And this is going to be the agenda. We're going to go through the master scroll, major updates. We're going to go through roadmap to the alpha. We're going to go through the game guide, and we're going to go through the new sites that we've built. And we can talk about the discussion about the Lords, and then just a general AMA about anything that we've covered so far. So you probably see me tweet about this, and we've been talking about this for a while now. And like this didn't really cross, my mind when we originally designed the game. But it kind of clicked. This is really what we're building. We're building an eternal game, and it's eternal game because this, the game state will live on Ethereum forever. So, like, even if Starknet goes down, the game state itself will always exist on Ethereum. So you'll be able to reconstruct it if you wanted to. And we're from the beginning we've said we're building for decades. We're not just building a flash in the pan. So this is why it's taken longer than expected, because it's quite simple just to create a simple smart contract that stakes things. But we want to create a in-depth game that's going to last for years, and that's taken a lot of iteration. So yeah. So moving on to some of the big changes in the scroll. One of the major ones was this idea around spatial area on your realm. And in the original design, we didn't have this. We just had the constraints for the traits. But in this new design, every building will carry a square meterage to it. So this means that you really have to make a choice about what you build. And so it narrows your scope into really two main branches, which is, do you focus on your economy or do you focus on your military? And, each has their positives and negatives. And to define that square meterage, you times your cities by your regions and you plus 25 square meters. Now, that plus 25 is kind of like a buffer to some of the really small realms just don't have enough space, and so it kind of just gives a more even square meterage to every realm, and so that's why we've done it like that. And the other the other major thing, which kind of ties into the whole eternal game idea, is that every buildings decay over time. So if you build a castle, for example, it may only last for 7 days and then it's decayed and it no longer exists. And so that when it's decayed, that's freed up your realm to build other things, and you no longer have its effect. And so just one other thing on that is when the thing with on-chain games is that you're really constricted to what you can do, with a blockchain, and we can't run scripts, for example, to change the game state. So everything that changes the game state is all player driven. And so you have to creatively use timestamps, which is really the only way to make kind of passive changes to the game. And so I don't want to get too technical, but the way this works is when you build a castle, you basically there's a time limit. It just decays. And we're using the block timestamp to make that happen. So these are some of the kind of early illustrations Amaro's done on the buildings. These are obviously a very work in progress. They're more conceptual ideas. Amaro's been hard at work building a lot of the art direction along with Secretive with the game. But as you can see, our core focus has been building the game for now, and we've been working on kind of a more of a landing page, which I'll get to in a moment, over these these game assets which we're working on. And so another major change has been how resources get generated. Now, this is like I think I've given myself an aneurysm trying to like the amount of models that I've done on this game, and I think the original design was just, it was too inflationary with not enough variability between like the lower level of resource production and the higher level of resource production. So it didn't give people enough, there wasn't enough difference between them. And so we've changed it to this new system where there's 250 baseline resources produced per day. And if you build work huts, you can increase that production. Now it's currently set at 50 per work hut, but that might change depending on what we see from the alpha. As I said, it's very hard to model these things. And work huts take up space, so this is your trade-off. You either build military buildings or you build work huts. And you build work huts, you get a resource boost, but you'll become more of a target, and you won't be able to build enough military buildings, so you won't be able to be as effective in your raids. Or you may not even be able to build military buildings, which means you won't be able to build military units. So, and the other major thing is resources have a cap on them. So it means that you can't just leave your realms for 2 weeks at a time and come back and harvest 14 days of your resources. And now the reason why I've done that is that when in our internal testing, there was just too much of an inflationary effect on it, and it didn't reward people that were playing the game as much. So we want to reward people that are like playing the game, not people that are just sitting back and waiting 2 weeks between the harvest and then harvesting and then selling. And so this is like forcing gameplay with everyone, and it's a much fairer outcome. And so currently it's set at 3 days max, like 3 in-game days. So that might be less than 3 days, or it might be more. 24 hours periods. And then one thing that hasn't changed is the rateable vault that will be claimable after 7 days as accrued. But like anything, these numbers might change. So, and food is this other major topic that we've introduced. Now, the reason why we did food was food is like abundant on every realm, meaning like anybody can produce it, but like the effective production rate of food can be 0 across all the realms, or it can be 8,000 times. If you build your max fish traps and farms on every realm, so there's a huge like difference in resource production, and because of that, it will create a really nice economic effect where there'll be incentive to produce food if there's lacking supply, and there'll be a and there'll be a incentive to sell food if there's a lot of if there's a lot on the market, or there'll be a lot to buy on the market if there's if it's a cheap price. So it means people will pull out their farms and just buy it on the market, and so it will create this nice like economic effect across the whole realmverse. And because you have to spend resources on building your farms, it creates a continuous new sink for all the resources. And so the way it works is you plant your farms, or you set up your fish traps, and after a period of time you can harvest them. And when you harvest them, you can either choose to export them, and that turns them into a resource token, just like wood or stone or coal, or you can choose to store them. And if you choose to store them, they get put into your storehouse, and your storehouse is another building, but it's a variable size limit, meaning like if you harvest 10,000 wheat, for example, that might take up 10 square meters on your realm, and so you can't actually you're still constrained by the size of your realm. on how big your storehouse is. And over time, your storehouse gets depleted according to the population of your realm. So if you have a really big standing army, as in like, you've built your attacking army and your defending army to their max size, your food supply is going to be depleted very fast. So you're going to have to either buy food off the market, or you're going to have to, supplement your, that realm with another realm that you may have turned into a farming realm, for example. So yeah, that's this is another major change, but it really affects the whole economy, and I think it balances and kind of creates stability, but also nice kind of economic gameplay. Troops, like the actual way they work, hasn't changed that much, except we've reduced the we've reduced the squad size to 15 from 25. And the reason for this is that we've just it was too much complexity. I think it's the nature of something. Sometimes you design something that's just too complex to begin with, and so we've just reduced complexity, and we've reduced the storage cost of it. So each kind of like combat action is cheaper now, but technically they're still the same in like how they interact. And so yeah, the way the combat works is that you build an attacking army and you build a defending army, and you when you go to attack another realm, it's see the arrows. So yeah, this is the other constraint of the blockchain. Like Milan and I, we've been theorizing like how to make a more complicated combat system, and there are some ideas floating around. But the original system is just going to be, tier 1 fights tier 1, basically back and forth like this until, tier 1's defeated, and then tier 1 will fight tier 2. And so it just like, there's a dice roll happens, and so a chance to kill your enemy happens, and if you kill the enemy with enough hit points, you go into the next unit. And it goes back and forth like this until one army is completely dead. And then the winning army obviously wins. Yeah, and obviously troops consume food. So, and the other thing is that if you don't have enough food in your storehouse, your troops will actually get capped with their vitality by half. So you always need to try to keep food in your storehouse, otherwise your troops can't be as effective. Yeah, so this is probably going to get a lot of discussion. So the other major thing that we're trying to build in is like we want to reward like active players. We want to limit the just the farmers or people that don't want to play the game but just want to harvest lords and resources and sell them on the market. And so it's not exactly like this isn't a hard thing to do. It's just one action that people need to take, and it pushes people to play the game, and then they get rewarded in it. And so the way Goblins Towns work is they spawn every 24 to 48 hours. And all they are like they'll have a variable difficulty depending on like the resources on that realm. And you just need to take your defending army and attack the Goblin Town. And if you succeed, you get rewarded in the Lords. And if you don't, well, you have to re-attack the Goblin Town. They're not going to be like super duper strong. They're just they're going to take some units to kill, but yeah. And this was a idea that I think it was Goji Bear or I think it was a community discussion around this back a few months ago around the idea of relics, and we've decided to build them into this first version of the game. And what a relic is it's every realm has a relic, and they're just these items. They're tokens. You can't trade them, but every realm has one. And when you attack a realm, and you successfully defeat it, you take their relic from them. and the only way that you can get your relic back is by defeating the same person that attacked you. And so this will drive people to keep attacking one another, and create some interesting rivalry. And the kind of metagame that we're building, this might be in the alpha, it might not be. Will be it'll be based around the orders. So if it won't just be you being able to get your relic back. If someone else that's part of your order sees that you've been attacked and sees who's got your relic, they can actually go and attack that person and get your relic back. And so if they successfully defeat the person that has your relic, you'll get sent back your relic. And so we're still kind of designing around like the exact mechanics of like how that metagame will work. Maybe maybe it's like recorded like how long you hold other people's relics, and then there's a prize to the winning order or something. But yeah, we're open to suggestions about the exact mechanics around that. But it's a really interesting gameplay that we've introduced. So the roadmap, obviously, everything's been pushed out than expected. I was definitely way too ambitious about the original timeline, and the engineering complexity was just and engineering complexity and StarkNet just not being ready were the two factors of that. But we're extremely close. We're probably the most advanced. Influence and us probably, we're two of the most advanced games running on StarkNet. I'm in constant talks with StarkNet and Yuri about this, and so we're really sprinting hard to try to get this like closed alpha out by the mid to late August. And so this mid to late this alpha will include basically the entire game that's in the scroll. It'll be available to play on Bravos, the mobile app, the StarkNet mobile app. You'll be able to play it on your desktop with the same account. And yeah, like there's not that much to do left. All the core lords are pushing hard to make this happen. So yeah, it's getting extremely close. So it's exciting. And then after the alpha, we'll depending on how it goes, we'll iterate on that, and we might run another alpha with a tweaked game, and then we'll get to the beta, and then the plan is to launch production, into Q3, Q4, around that time period, onto StarkNet when it will be ready. Now they tell me like it will be ready at that time, so we're going to go off that time period. But the most important thing for us, and all of us, is we make this game as best as we can before just pushing out production. Like if it means we have to wait another, it means we have to do 2 alphas or two or 3 alphas to really kind of get the economics and everything right. Then that's my preference, is that we do that. We're building for years here. We're not building a flash. So, and then after the production, Threepwave's been working on the Crypts and Caverns intensely. I think he's planning on releasing something pretty soon on how that's going to work. It'll be an update to the Master Scroll, and with that same release, we'll release the NFT marketplace and crafting. And then after that, we'll be launching the Adventurers, and then after that, we'll see what comes. So Squiddy's been working on this game guide,
Just to jump in here, should we do AMA first, just on the scroll updates?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, we can do that before we jump into anything else.
Yeah, just while it's fresh in everyone's minds.
Sure. Well, let me read the Oh, okay. There's a lot of questions. Wait, is there? If anyone's got any questions, just about anything I've just talked about or the Master Scroll, just jump in. Just unmute yourself.
Is it just the defending army that can attack the Goblin towns?
Um, that's the current design. Yes.
Okay. Is it possible to have both attacking and defending? Because, like, it's a goblin town that's in your realm, so you'd expect both armies to be able to attack it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, anything's possible.
I just think that, like, just Lord Milan and I were in the chat and were just thinking that, the attack. He was thinking the attacking one would it just seems like another way to, kill off units.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. It's all open right now. That makes sense.
Cool. Just from yesterday as well. Probably should clarify anything about Stark token as far as usage of that. In that, I don't know what discussions have been had at the core level, but a lot of people seem to think that because we're using StarkNet, that we're getting an allocation.
Okay. So, look, they've definitely they haven't really given me much information specifically around it. I know they like I'm not sure how they're going to reward users specifically.
Yep.
But I do know, and this is what they've been clear about, is that applications that use a lot of StarkNet resources, which will probably be realms, get will be paid StarkNet tokens.
Awesome.
Like the actual contracts will. That's how they're doing it. I don't know. I have no idea like how much. It might be like nothing, or it might be a lot. But I mean, look, it's shaping up that we're going to be one of the first apps on StarkNet. So it probably a community discussion will have to be had around how we deal with those tokens when they come into the those contracts. But
it's great news, man. Like, just to have that coming through anyway. Like, we can work it out later, but I think just that alone is something that is worth putting in some marketing time, because it's a pretty solid sell. Like, everyone in NFT markets is looking for airdrops at the moment.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I actually don't. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work. It's going to be like it may not even be an airdrop. It may be like atomically done on every transaction according to the usage of those contracts. I'm not sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Anyone got any other questions about the Master Scroll or anything that I didn't cover?
I've just got a quick question, but it's not related to the scroll, so maybe I'll hold it. But if there's nothing else, I'll chime in.
Yeah, just shoot.
There's been some work on the guild system, so I'm just wondering what
yes.
that looks like and how that might play out.
Well, the guild master's actually on the call. We've been I don't know, Sam, do you want to explain it?
Yeah, sure. Hi guys.
You're a little quiet. You might want to turn off your mic or something. Bit close.
Laptop. Does that improve anything?
It's a little quiet, but
I'll try my best. I'll try and shout.
Yeah, that's a bit better.
Okay, cool. So yeah, the guild system really is an interoperable contract system for all games. Essentially, it's where I set up a guild contract that acts like a shared wallet. So it allows having a shared player game state as well as being able to share items, in-game items. So essentially, the discussions currently with Loaf and Realms is it could be, because there's quite a labour cost in terms of managing realms, that if you had a guild where players could deposit their realm, you could have someone that's almost using your realms and managing them for you. So essentially, that's one core idea that we're exploring at the moment. But yeah, guilds at the moment, it's very early to decide the use cases, but I think quite a few cool use cases will come from this whole system idea.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's you're doing great work, man. And yeah, Plur, like at the moment, as Sam said, like he's designed this kind of modular system that can allow anything, and like we're like I think we're shooting to have this included in the alpha, which will we'll be able to test it effectively. And I think from a Realms game specifically, where like you'll be able to deposit your realms in this like shared guild contract, and then anybody in that guild will actually be able to action with that realm, and the resources will then accrue into the guild. And a stretch, a stretch function will be, splitting those resources up according to some kind of schedule to all the members as they kind of get harvested. So yeah, but like if you have any great ideas around like how guild system should work, or like feel free to like drop them in the channel, because like we can literally we can build whatever we want, really. Like that's where we're at.
Yeah, I love the idea of that. Just thinking, somebody goes on a vacation for a few weeks or something, and they just don't want to let everything sit.
Yeah.
Jump it in the guild for a while. So I'm super excited about that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, then this is like this is why account abstraction is so crucial, because it allows you all these new user experiences that aren't just not possible without it. So that's one of the core driving factors of why we chose Starknet. Account abstraction will probably come to other networks, but it's native on Starknet right now, so it works really well. Any other cues?
Yeah, hi, GM.
GM.
I had one question regarding the cost of constructing an army and constructing various buildings, right? I think lords have to use a certain combination of resources to construct these buildings and armies, right? So I don't think it was made very clear in the master scroll. That is one. And also second is, I know the actual combination of resources is something that has been worked out, I think, right? So is there any update in terms of where we are with that, and when that will be made public?
Yeah. That's like, as I said, most of the modeling that I've tried to do is around the cost of these things. It's not public yet, but will be public in the alpha. So it's going to be one of those things that it's going to take some tweaking. But yeah, there will be there'll probably be a lord's cost in the buildings and a resource cost, but in troops it'll probably just be resource costs. Like, we want to make troops pretty cheap, and so it just encourages people to raid a lot, and buildings fairly more expensive because they're more permanent. But also because now everything decays, then things can be cheaper. There's going to be like an interesting balance to find between like the length of decay and the cost, which will probably emerge in the alpha.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Just with the adventurers, sorry, not adventurers, troops. With the leveling system, is that going to be an alpha, beta, or are we leaving that for a bit later?
Leveling system. The troops don't have a leveling system.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is that in the scroll, the adventurers have the leveling system, and originally the idea was that your troops would have a leveling system in order to encourage, veteran troop squads.
That won't be in the alpha. I can't do.
It was something we discussed like a couple of months back, so it could have just been left.
May have been a passing comment. But yeah, that's not in the alpha.
Cool.
The idea between troops is that they're kind of disposable. Like, they're not long lasting. You're meant to build them and use them. So
I think that's great for Alpha. I just think that we should aim going forward to have, kind of more of like a Civ model where troops can level up, get upgrades, buy shit from shops, etc.
Yeah, it becomes a See, this is when we hit the hard limits. Now Milan's done a lot of work on this to, really optimize a battling system, because every action that you add to a troop basically increases the complexity exponentially. So
this
it's
is
fun.
all way down the line, man. I mean,
Yeah.
like next year. Like I'm just talking.
Yeah.
As long as the composer, as long as we can add that on at some point, it's all good.
Yeah, it's in the future for sure.
Great.
Lord, just one other question from me. Can you expand a bit more in terms of how the mobile wallet is going to work?
Sure. Is maybe the Bravos guy? Oh no, he's not on. Yeah. So, Bravos is a Starknet. There's the Android app exists right now, so you can download it. So I'd recommend anybody downloading it. I think they're you won't find Realms in it just yet, but I think they've just released like a generic browser which you can just open up any mobile website in. And the way it works is it just it connects because it's a wallet itself, and when you open a website through the Bravos app, it will connect to the Bravos wallet. It'll automatically connect. So if you've probably the flow will be, create your wallet in your browser, then restore that same wallet on your mobile, in the mobile app, and then you'll have the same private key. And then when you go to go to the website, go to the game, it will just everything will just be connected, and you'll be able to action everything as you would, as just like you would be on desktop. And so it's not like we haven't created a mobile native app. It's just the website working through Bravos, but it still acts like a mobile. So you'll be able to play everything. And I know the Atlas right now isn't very mobile optimized. But this was kind of totally news to me. They kind of blindsided me when they dropped that mobile app. I was like, oh, we're probably going to be like 6 months away from doing mobile gaming. But we're literally like a week away from testing it, probably less. So it's amazing. This is how quickly the Starknet ecosystem's growing. There's just so much innovation going on. It's fantastic.
And any news on the hardware wallet? I know Ledger is building something.
I don't have any information about that. Look, I think they're probably working crazy hard to make it happen. I don't know, that panel that I was on the other day when I was a piece of bread. There was a Ledger guy on that panel, and I know they're working hard on it. So I don't have any timelines. It might be worth reaching out to them actually in their Discord or something.
When I was a piece of bread on the panel, that made me laugh. I like that. If you've not seen the picture, where was the picture posted? Was it just?
I think it was on
in
Twitter.
Discord. It was on Twitter. Yeah, very funny.
I was on Discord as well. Yeah. Yeah. Solnus. I couldn't make it to Paris, and I told Solnus, can you put a piece of bread on the seat, and just like Solnus, he's up for most things, so he gladly obliged, and everyone was looking at the piece of bread. It was too funny. Any other questions about the game?
Not game related, but I know you've been doing a lot of on the subject of being out on tour, on like a little media tour. Obviously, you spoke at ETCC as a loaf of bread on a chair. What else have you been? I know you've been doing quite a lot of other stuff, which I think is speaking to devs and kind of like the industry. So I think just maybe for people who have missed it, like what have you appeared on recently?
I've kind of
Startnet House.
yeah, start this.
So,
yeah,
Startnet House, which was that was where I think that I first saw a lot of the content around Eternal games, and I think that's super interesting as something that we are going to look to own, or certainly to be a big part of, like pushing this idea out there of this new genre of games that don't necessarily have an end state and we've got to live on chain forever. And so that idea of an eternal game, an eternal reality, and that's what we're building here with the Realms settling games and all the other games that build into that same universe. And that I think was I think that's on YouTube, and it's well worth a watch, even if you're watching this today, because I think it's a really good talk we gave to, and that's kind of the people who are interested in Starknet and coding. I think a fairly hardcore audience. And then obviously a few weeks ago now, you appeared on a few different Matchbox conversations, along with myself, around about different topics in the on-chain gaming space. And again, that's just for all the people who are very, very focused on Starknet gaming. So yeah, doing a lot to sort of build bridges amongst the kind of key people who are building in this space, and I think still continue to do that fantastically well across the team.
Yeah, there's been a few of them. I think there's a few more coming up in the next couple of weeks as well, which I'll drop links to. I think there's a couple Twitter Spaces coming up, which I'll be talking about Eternal games. And I think Starknet House is having a hackathon, which I'm going to be a judge of as well. So if anyone wants to be part of a hackathon, then I would go and check out Starknet House, which is what's their Discord called again? The Topology Discord, and go and sign up. So yeah, I've been harking on about Eternal games to a lot of people.
But I think we've got to be talking about that eternally. So I think everyone on this call, as our super tight team, really, in terms of the people who really want to know what's going on with the project. I think that's one of the big things is, we'll be pushing content and again, pushing this agenda out. And there are other Eternal games out there. But yeah, it's just a sort of key thing for us to be sharing with anyone when we're talking to people about Realms.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, should we move on to if no one has any other questions about the game?
I just had one about Bibliotheca, because I saw that the devs are saying that's pretty close to release.
Yeah. So that's pretty close. I think Abrax is kind of leading the charge on that. He's been I think he's been quite sick the last 2 weeks, so it's kind of knocked him out. Yeah, it's very close.
Leave it for now, then.
Yeah, it's very close. But yeah,
we'll leave it till he gets on.
Mm-hmm.
So just one other question on the game, Lord. Some of these game actions, could be scripted, right? Like as in people write a bot. Any thoughts or views in terms of how to kind of handle that and keep a level playing field?
Yeah. Well, this comes to one of the reasons why we've implemented like Goblin Towns, and we've implemented like max accrual of resources, etc. Because like if you limit the actions per minute, or like APM, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it in this scenario, you can level the playing field. So yes, people can write scripts, and like we can't ever stop that, because that's the nature of an on-chain game, is that it is scriptable. But we can level the playing field to people by giving everyone the tools. So D Hammer, myself, have been working heavily on this CLI tool, which allows people just to play via the CLI. Obviously, that's kind of like out of the scope of a lot of people, but we will make it easy for people to do that if they want to play. But even if people use that, like with these constraints of cooldown periods, max resource accruals, Goblin Towns, it really restricts like the ability for a bot to be that much better. And we are leaning into the idea of like, we want people to be able to make plugins and stuff, and people be able to make their own scripts. Like, maybe I know DSI's on the call, or he was. maybe it's not anymore. But he's actually working on something that will allow you to harvest like queue up a bunch of different actions at once, like through a browser, kind of through another website. And so you'll be able to go to this website and just be like, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and then hit confirm, and it will just do that repeatedly for you. So yeah, I think it's all about like limiting the it's like slowing down the game so much that a bot can't be that much better. That's the game design. I think Will someone posted who posted it in today? I think it was not Will Price. He's on Twitter. He just posted a thing about APMs and on games, and he's part of the Dark Forest team. So yeah, that's the real goal. Like reduce the amount of actions that that a bot can do per minute, and like you level the playing field.
I have one last question related to the game, and that is, I noticed in the House of Lords channel, there's been some discussion about changing the emissions for staked realms. If that is something that's being discussed, could you talk about the motivation for that, and if the current emissions is an issue?
Yeah, we're going to get to that. But yeah, we can talk about that now. I had that on the list of things. Yeah, so I think Sarknet's taken longer than expected. So like this big kind of unlock is kind of accrued, which was unexpected. Now we want Lords to get into the hands of as many people as possible. Like that's the goal of Lords. It should be relatively easy to get at this point. But I think the issue is simply that it's a significant chunk of the existing float. As in, I think there's 50 million currently, or 60 million currently in circulation. Less than that, 51 or 52 or something. And this whole unlock is about, I think it's 20 million or something. So it's just, I think the thing is it's a significant chunk just to drop straight on a of the totals of the current float, and so that's where the that's where the issue kind of arises around that. And it may be better that we just release it now rather than waiting. But this is something that we're not just making the call on. This is something that we should all make the call on. It's obviously going to go to a vote. Any big decision like this, so it's just we wanted to get the discussion going. And we'll I'm sure that all of us can come up with the best decision that makes sense for the for the project. Yeah, so that and the current emission rate is kind of it was based off having sinks and loops within the game, but obviously there are no sinks and loops right now, and so it's just accruing into this big overhang. Yeah, I'm open to all discussion around it. Nothing certain. It's just we wanted to just start talking about it.
Thanks.
Well, since we're on this topic now, does anybody want to talk about it? Anything that I haven't covered in this? I think I just gave our reasoning about why we wanted to bring it into the discussion. So yeah, we're open to all suggestions, and let's just discuss and work it out.
Sure, I'll give a quick chat about that.
Sure.
So I'm currently playing another game called Crypto Unicorns. It has a lot of syncs and it's kind of farming, but there's currently just a farming game loop, and it has actually a big. The different berries and whatever it's pretty close to what Realms is, in a sense of making troops and whatnot. Anyways, so there's these events where people play, and then they've been giving out rewards, and so the rewards for those events are rather large. So they've been kind of dividing up in half and weekly portions. So you could do like weekly portions or something along those lines, rather than like this huge chunk. Just one thought there.
Yeah. Look, I think everything's on the table. I haven't made up my mind and what I think is the best either. I'm just let's just get everybody's thoughts on it, and then put things up to a vote. I think that's the fairest thing we can do.
So I, just spent a bit of time running the problem through OpenAI's GPT library, and it, was pretty heavily leaning towards, a lock and vesting period as being the fairest option. Because it's, well, I think I posted it, like its output somewhere. Fuck it. The game reduced emission rates over time to be fairer to new owners, as they would still receive some lords, but old owners would have their lords worth more due to the increase in scarcity.
Yeah, well, I think the path forward is we come up with a set of options and then put it up for a snapshot vote. I think that's the only outcome that we can really do.
Yep, for sure.
Anybody else got anything they want to add to this?
Or drop it in the chat if you don't want to. If you don't want to open up your mic, just drop a message in the chat. I know obviously people have been kind of debating this today, so there's been a lot of conversation around it. So if anyone wants to sort of follow up on that now, this is a good time to just drop it in the chat on the side of the screen or unmute. Otherwise, Lo, what are the kind of timelines you're thinking about to make this decision and start to execute?
I think we should just put a vote up as soon as we kind of come up with options. There's no point leaving it longer, I don't think. We should just do it and then move on, like anything. Lord Dragon, yes, you should be reading up on micro and macroeconomic theory. Yeah, there's a lot of levers going on in this game. I'm really excited just to see the market just evolve, and supply shocks happen with different resources and food and whatnot. So cool. Well, sounds like nobody wants to inject right now about that, but if you have any more chat about it, just drop it into the House of Lords channel, and we can then formulate up a few options, and then we can put it to a snapshot.
Let's go to the game guide.
Yeah, so Squid's been working on this community-driven game guide. I don't know if Squid, do you want to talk about it or?
Yeah. I mean, the idea about it is that this is like the landing page of, the guides to the game. So new people coming in can go there, new and old lords alike as well. And we'll have everything from setting up your wallet to bridging your realms across, but more importantly, the player guides. So if you own a realm, you can check out the Realm Lord guides and the different kind of players you can be. So it shows like the bare minimum, and all of these will be stackable. So you could pick 3 player types or 4, depending on how much time you have, and do it all at the same time. And then we'll have like the yield guides, which is like if you're a Lord's holder and you don't actually need to hold a realm. Kind of just a step-by-step of how to actually game the system. And these are just kind of quick ideas that we've come up with. But we
yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say, like, yeah, this is kind of like, we want this to be like a community-driven guide. So this is all open source in this repo. So Squid's going to write a guide of how to contribute to this, and it's super easy. You just write in Markdown, which is just like there's not coding, no coding involved. It's just like, it looks like this, and it's just, you can propose changes, or you can propose a different play style if you like, and it'll all get included in here. And this will be like the guide for anybody playing the game, how to do things, how you want to play the game, and so yeah, if anyone wants to contribute to this, please do.
Yeah, and I'll probably grab a few community moderators who are keen to participate and actually see the submissions and approve things. So I'll be chatting with the community about that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so just reach out to Squid if you want to get involved in this, and you can become a moderator on the GitHub, and you can approve pull requests and any updates to this thing.
It's going to be ever expanding. Like, the more things that are added into the game, the more guides are going to be needed. So,
just with the GitHub, compared to other projects, it is quite hard to just jump in. I was just wondering if one thing you'd like is kind of, a bit more of a simplified flow for people in the Dockosaurus area, or in the README, or I don't know where you want it, but just something to kind of onboard new contributors that, especially for the game guide, because they might not be full stack devs.
Yeah, I think that like the Dockosaurus is like as simple as it gets. I think like we wanted to use like open source stuff. Like, we don't want to use a Git book or anything, because that's closed and it costs money for every new user. But it's literally, Squid can, like, I'll show you how you can do it. Like, it's really, this is it. Like, you just
we can go over that. I think as long as there's a way to, like, a written document telling people how they can contribute to Dockosaurus, because that's pretty standard for other projects.
Within the guide, there's going to be a guide to contribute, and it's going to be very straightforward.
Yeah, and this is basically it. You just edit this file and you hit commit, and that's an update.
But yeah, from creating a GitHub account to finding it, and that'll all be involved in the guide.
Cool.
All right. Well, there's I'll just leave it at that, and yeah, if you want to get involved with that, contact Squiddy, and he'll onboard you. And there's a couple other things that we just want to show, which is, so we've released a new DAO site, which is, so we've just restructuring all of our kind of channels, just to make it clearer. And so this is the base Bibliotheca DAO.xyz, which includes, what is the DAO, who we work with, deep link to just kind of the master scroll, and any other projects that we're producing, and it's also got a the treasury here as well, including what we hold. I don't know what that is. What's that? Yeah, and then staking hasn't moved. It's just this is still, you can access all your stuff, all the staking stuff here. You just need to go to staking.bibliotheca DAO. So that's the one thing that we've produced, and then the other thing is the scroll, and this is what Amaro's been working on for the past month. This is the kind of a work in progress landing page, which is going to be the game. Like, this is going to be on like lootrealms.xyz, and so this is going to be a specific landing page purely for the game. And this is still a work in progress, so we're it's definitely by no means finished. But you can see some of the illustration and the world building that Secretive and Amaro have been working on. And yeah, the game name is still a work in progress. If anyone has any like cool ideas around that game name, feel free to drop it in the chat. But it's still something that we're working on.
Just to give a bit of context on that, we aren't thinking of changing. So Realms is our universe. That's where, you know, lots of different game experiences as modules get added. There'll be lots of games that exist in the same universe, and they'll all be kind of interconnected. But what we've been calling the settling game, or other times calling the empire building game, we're still working on exactly what that name of that will actually be. And we've been through some really lovely options, but we are also at the moment codifying a broader world narrative and how all of the different game assets and game elements, like the goblins, like the world bosses that will be coming down the line, like the goblin towns, the relics, the wonders, how they fit into a kind of cohesive narrative that really kind of pulls you into that world. So yeah, we are working collectively on kind of world building at the moment, and we're really trying to make sure everything kind of has some roots in the original code. So either like we're pulling things out of the OG loot bag contract to Inspire, or we're pulling things out of the Realms contract to Inspire, alongside building our own kind of game narrative and conflict and tension to go on top. So the game name is kind of gonna emerge once we've fully built out that world, which may or may not happen before we get this website live. So we have to think about a way of describing it on the site. But it looks beautiful. Amaro has done an incredible job. I think he might be on here on the call at the moment, but I think probably what we'll do is do a more formal show and tell, perhaps on the next call.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a sneak peek.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. So beautiful.
Thanks.
Oh, there he is.
Hello. Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, beautiful stuff, man. And here's the this guy in charge of his army of troops, commanding a legion. So yes. So yeah, it's still a work in progress, but we're hoping to release this in the next within the next 7 days. It'll be polished and ready to go. I've gone through the guide. Development is just another. We've got a lot of sites now. So this is very much still a work in progress as well. We're just migrating all of our. This is for the developers. We're just migrating all of our developer docs into this single directory, which will have contributing guides, the architecture of the whole game, the game modules, the AMM, the CLI, and everything involved in kind of getting going development wise. Like, this has obviously been something that it's hard to write documentation when it's heavily in a work in progress, because just rewriting things. So we kind of left it, but it's almost in a state where all these things can be polished and made easy to understand. So yeah, and that's I think that's about everything that we wanted to cover. We've kind of did it in different order, but we've kind of already done the AMA. But if anyone has any other questions about any of that, we're at just at an hour now, so open to field any questions about anything. Lord Calculator said, has there been any updates on the PFP collection? So, yes, we kind of Amara's been working on kind of doing the in-game assets and this like landing page right now. It's in the roadmap, but it's a very, very large kind of undertaking. So our thoughts were, well, let's focus on these immediate actions, which are the game assets and the illustrations and whatnot, and then we'll dive straight into that, the Lord's collection.
Yeah, I definitely want to get back to the Lord's collection. I think it'll be a great opportunity to like learn more about what kinds of designs we'll need and what the kind of look of the world is. But yeah, I think for now, the basic onboarding experience and a little overhaul of the UI and polishing those up a bit, and then get back into the PFP collection.
Yeah, as it's going to be a big task, and we really want to knock it out of the park. So it's not something we just want to rush out and just be like, oh, here's a collection. It's like we want to do some innovative things with it. We want to do like crazy generative designs, and really make them look great. So it's going to take a bit of work. Yeah. Any other questions? If not, we'll probably just end it here. Grug, you've been unusually quiet. That's why. Okay. All right. Well, let's just let's end it here. And if anyone has any other questions, just where to find all the cool lords. And thanks to everyone for coming.
Thank you, Lords. GN.
Thanks.
Bye.